I believe the main problem was not recognizing obesity as a disease. I believe if we go back and we investigate more and we invested more in the disease of obesity, I believe most of the chronic diseases by now have disappeared. Any lifestyle should be sustainable, doable, and enjoyable, correct?
Yes.
I used to have toxic relationship with food, but now it's normal relationship with food. The goal is to help you in gaining health, not in losing weight. I go beyond the numbers on the scale when I discuss with patients. And believe me, there are many patients who lost only 5 kilograms and felt much better. If you can't lose weight, don't blame yourself. It's beyond your willpower, it's beyond your personal responsibility, and just shout for help.
Hi, I'm Gayu Lewis, a board-certified integrative nutrition, health and menopause coach and the host of the Gayu Lewis Podcast. This is the space where we talk about what's happening behind our hormones, the science, the mindset, and everyday stories that help women thrive through midlife. And today, I am joined by someone who has the front row seats to the GLP-1 revolution, not from social media, but from the clinical side. Dr. Hecham Harb is an endocrinologist. He has seen the hope, the fear, the hype, the misuse, the breakthroughs, and the consequences of GLP-1 up close. And that's exactly why he needs to be a part of our conversation. Dr. Hecham, I'm so happy for you to join me in my podcast and to talk about this word, the GLP-1. People know about it. Of course, there are multiple molecules, which I think you'll explain to us about, but wanted to talk about this because it is such a misunderstood topic.
A therapy or medicine for a disease of obesity has been long awaited, I believe. And that's why everybody is talking about it in social media, in real life, people visiting doctors to solve the problem. And I believe if you go back a little bit to the past. Obese comes from the Latin or Roman, I would say, name. If we translate that, it's made fat as a result of eating.
Okay.
Now we're all driven by this point, and that was 130 AD by a Roman writer. Now we all driven by that. Okay, if you eat too much, mean you will be overweight or obese. Now the difficulty in that is not only medical but also social. You know, there's lots of stigma about being heavy. We always, point to somebody who's heavy in the school. I think kids are bullied because of that. Okay, in the supermarket, when you see somebody who fills his basket with food, you say, maybe this is the reason why he's heavy, Then it's a cascade. And we reach to the point, it's self-blaming. Okay, now I am overweight, I'm heavy, because it's my mistake. I don't do it well. Maybe my willpower is not good. Then it's a vicious cycle, I believe the main problem was not recognizing obesity as a disease. That's a big problem.
Yeah.
Why is that? Though, let's say, from medical and philosophical perspective, obesity is a disease. Let's say, for example, there is a demonstrable disturbance in a physiological function or structure. And that's because of biological changes. And that leads to signs and symptoms. Even if you go to the philosophy, it's a deviation from a normal functional status. Correct? It's a deviation. Now, if you see somebody who is really overweight or, carrying lots of fat, you see this is abnormal. This is not normal.
Yeah.
Then it's a disease in all, aspects. But why we did not recognize a disease, I believe if we go back and we investigate more and we invested more in the disease of obesity, I believe most of the chronic diseases by now have disappeared. Now, this is the big problem. Everybody is talking about that because we long awaited to see a medicine which is working. It's changing the life of people. And of course, if you use something more frequently, you will have pros and cons of that. Correct? People will talk about the bad side and other people will talk about the good side. And as you know, in the social media, everybody is a journalist. Everybody is a influencer. Everybody can talk about his experience and nobody will stop them. And it depends on how you filter things as a, so somebody watching or following those people.
Yeah. But doctor, again, you said that it was long awaited. We didn't recognize obesity, but the medication, which was for metabolic issues, specifically diabetes, was the medicine which is now being used for treating obesity. Is that the right way forward, or is there still an issue? Because now a lot of people are saying that you've taken a medicine which was for diabetes and now treating obesity. People who really need this for diabetes are not getting the medication. So is there, in the science behind it, is there going to be further development in creating the specific molecule that will actually work towards obesity and not take away from people who are trying to treat diabetes?
See, I think prescribing medication to treat obesity as a disease started before the GLP era. If you go back, for example, there's a medication called Orlistat, which is a tablet that you swallow and that will reduce the absorption of fat from the gut. Unfortunately, the side effect is ongoing diarrhea. Then people, they don't like it for that reason. And you may lose like 5% if you wait in 6 months or so. It's not that significant weight loss. And that's a different mechanism of action. It's not a treatment for diabetes per se. Okay. Now, I believe it came like by coincidence when we discovered that diabetes can be treated by a hormone. It's called GLP receptor agonist, that we activate the receptors of this glucagon-like peptide. Why? Because the science started from what we call it glucose-dependent insulin secretion. When you eat something, carbs or glucose, there will be a message as soon as the food touches the gut. Yeah. There a hormonal message goes to the pancreas and tells the pancreas, produce insulin. I want to use this sugar in a good way. Okay. They found that there is a blunt effect for this hormone. And that's why they started to give that hormone, which is called GLP. Now, I believe as a side effect, they saw people losing weight. And if you go back to where they get this hormone from to start, from the saliva of a lizard. And that lizard can stay without food for like months and months. And there was like, oh, okay, people are losing weight. And losing weight is good to treat diabetes. We know that, to reduce the insulin resistance in general. But okay, let's investigate that for people without diabetes, but only with the problem of obesity. Here people start talking, okay, maybe this is a different mechanism of action. It's not related to the pancreas. Yeah. And we know now there are receptors for this hormone, GLP, and other hormones. Of course, we call them incretin-based, secreted by the organs like gut and pancreas to regulate the energy in the body. And there are receptors in, I would say, every single organ. Maybe not all organs, but in the brain we have, the lungs we have, even in the joints we have receptors for that. Now, these days we see, benefits beyond weight loss. Yeah. But I think this is the story, if you ask, what's the link between those chronic diseases like diabetes and
so, doctor, you're saying that there is a lot of benefits that we are seeing, but how old or how new is this study? Because I don't believe, like if I have to look at my research, it doesn't have like a 50-year-old history to back saying that, yes, this is, it's proved, or, there is so many studies or so many data that we can say that, yes, the benefits are brilliant. It is fairly new. Is it good to say that, yes, the benefits are there? Or maybe it is just short-lived and then maybe the cons are going to come later?
Say, in medicine, we use what we call it clinical trials. And that's what we name it evidence-based practice. Okay. Evidence-based, starts from randomizing people in the trials. Like, for example, I have two groups, 100 patients here, another 100 patients in the other group. And I randomize them to a medicine, like let's say Mounjaro. 100, I'll give them real Mounjaro, and the other 100, I give them placebo, which is Mounjaro pen, but water inside. Yeah. And then I'll try to see what's happening in 6 months, in 1 year, in 2 years. And there's something called post-marketing studies. Even when now the FDA, for example, the Food and Drug Administration in America, has a very strict criteria to prove a medication from safety and from efficacy perspective also. Then if there is any signal that medication is harmful, then they will stop it. And that's happened with one of the company who tried to develop a medicine tablets and then it stopped now. Why? Because there is some liver injury, ? Okay, maybe the medication, it's harmful for the liver, then let's stop the medicine. Then I believe from safety and efficacy perspective, if a medicine stays in the clinical trials around 4 or 5 years through different phases, I think that's more than enough to tell us, okay, this medication is okay. Now, what's happening after the post-marketing? Again, we continue reporting things. As a doctor, for example, myself, if I see any strange side effect, it might be linked to use of this medicine, I will report that. And if then we'll try to, gather how many cases of that you've seen, for example. But most of the side effects we explain to our patients these days are related to those side effects, experienced by the patient in the clinical trials. But let's go back. The first medicine in this class, which is related to hormones like GLB, glucagon-like peptide, was in 1996. I'm not saying the same molecule, Mounjaro or Ozempic. It's called exenatide before. Then it's 1996, and we're talking about 3 decades or so. Then things built based on that molecule. We have liraglutide. After that, it's called Saxenda, Victoza for diabetes, Biodarion. There's another medication. There is, then Ozempic, then Mounjaro now. But yes, I would say over the last 3 or 4 years, it's blooming. Yeah. We have more than 50 pharmaceutical companies now work in a molecule related to this mechanism of action because it's very unique. And going back to the history of medicine, metformin was, invented in France maybe 100 years ago. Do you know when America started using this medication? 30 years after that. Okay. Because they know this is not a good medication. No, there is a side effect. There's a problem. Oh, we're not convinced. After 30 years or more, I believe, 1970s, something like that, they said, okay. And now, as you know, it's a first-line medication when we treat diabetes, polycystic ovarian syndrome, insulin resistant, and others. Then I'm pretty reassured in general.
Okay. But doctor, what does GLP-1 I keep saying GLP-1, probably like I said, the different molecules. What does it actually do when it enters your body?
Now, let's call a glucagon-like peptide. It's a hormone secreted from the gut. And we thought at the beginning, as I said, it sends a message to the brain, to the pancreas, let's start from that, to say, okay, now you have a glucose touching the mucosa or the lining of the gut, and let's produce some insulin to utilize this sugar in a good way. But also there are receptors going to the brain to say, okay, now I'm eating. Now, okay, there's a signal to say, stop eating. You have enough food. Okay. And those are the major 2 things now that would slow the emptying of the stomach also. Like when you eat something sugary, if you drink a juice, that might spike your blood sugar in a few minutes. Yeah. But if you have a whole grain bread, that spikes your blood sugar in 2 or 3 hours because of the non-absorbable fats there. Then what this medication does also to treat diabetes and helps in obesity, that reduces, or let's say slowing the emptying of the stomach. Then those are the 3 major mechanisms of action that we started with. But we know now this medication, it helps, for example, in reducing the addiction of everything. And there's lots of studies now going on about alcohol addiction, let's say. There is improvement in the cognition and the cognitive function. There is improvement also in the fatty liver. Get rid of the, liver, the fat in the liver. It's improvement also in the cardiovascular system, in the heart. And what's interesting that in the studies, which is what, as I said, it's evidence-based studies, we started seeing the benefit even before significant weight loss. Okay. There is a landmark study. It's called SELECT study for semaglutide, which is Ozempic or Wegovy. When you use it at a high dose at 2.4 milligram, even after 1 month of using this medication, the cardiac benefit, the heart benefit started to reduce the heart attack and all things related to the heart disease.
Okay.
Then we're still learning. But those are the three mechanisms of action that started to treat diabetes and obesity first.
Okay. Doctor, now just, while you were talking, my brain was working at the back. Who are the right people, the candidate, to start taking a weight loss medication? Because now I might look at myself in the mirror and saying, I have now put on weight. Now, should I also get into a weight loss medication? So who are the right people who should actually take this medication?
See, let's go back to the indication. Okay, this is what we call it in medicine, indication. Who's the right person? Then there should be an indication to give this medicine. Now, if you go back to the definition of obesity is a chronic, relapsing, multifactorial disease because there are many causes for that, lifestyle-related, genetic probably, biological, many causes. And that impacts negatively on our health. What's that impact? I can classify that to three different classes. First is the mechanical impact. If you carry 30 kilograms fat, of course, your function will be impaired or compromised, correct? Going upstairs, doing your shoelaces, running, playing with your kids. That's a mechanical. Other one, it's physical or metabolic. Like what? We have more than 200 diseases we know now are linked to obesity.
Yep.
Like what? For example, high blood pressure, hypertension, high cholesterol, what we call hyperlipidemia. We have sleep apnea, for example. You can't sleep well at night, and the causes of, breathing at night, cancer-related, many things. And the third one is psychological or mental. Psychological and mental, we know that many people have depression or anxiety because of the obesity itself, or because they have been trying to lose weight many times, but at the end they are disappointed and frustrated. Then if you have any one of those negative impacts, then I would say, okay, let's think about treatment. Now, there is something called social desire of thinness.
Yeah.
Correct? Everybody would like to like a mannequin, correct? Yeah. But that's not a disease. Okay. Now, again, we should a little bit move away from the BMI, the body mass index. Though the guidelines to prescribe this medication everywhere in the world depends on the BMI till date. Now, there is a program in Abu Dhabi, for example, to fund this medication. Again, the criteria is to BMI more than 35 or 30. But I can give you an example of people that have seen their BMI, it's almost normal, like 24 or 25. But do the biometric for them and find out what's the fat percentage, what's the muscle percentage, what we call it lean
mass. Yeah.
They may have 45% fat, though their BMI is normal. And also, if you do blood tests for them, they have pre-diabetes, they have high blood pressure, for example, in clinical examination, they have elevated liver enzyme. Okay, they are depressed because they try to lose weight, specifically the tummy area, And okay, I would argue, yes, this gentleman or this girl require treatment because they have impact. Then let's go back to examine the patient well, to do a good assessment, and to ask the patient, frankly, why do you want to lose weight? And at the end, I will tell my patient practically in the clinic, okay, see, for every medication, there will be some side effects. Even if you take paracetamol or ibuprofen or any medication, there's a side effect, Then try to outweigh the risk and benefit. And we know in medicine always what we call it off-label use. Off-label use means the guidelines did not mention that in the criteria to use this medication. Now, okay, that will be a mutual agreement between me and the patient after assessing the risk and benefit.
Yeah. Okay. Doctor, like you said, I think what I've heard, again, read, the first thing that when you start taking this medication is that it suppresses your hunger. Mm-hmm. And I have met a lot of women, again, because I as a women's wellness coach, I meet a lot of women who start taking this and they end up not wanting to eat food. They really hate eating food. But then the whole thing is, if you don't eat food, you're not getting the nutrients that you require, the protein intake that you have to take. I mean, they will lose the weight, but that's the muscle that the body is going to start hitting on, not the fat initially.
Correct.
How do you help educate your
Yes.
patients for that?
See, this is the role, what we call it, holistic approach. Then even with those trials to prove these medications, lifestyle was the first step. Lifestyle and medication. Okay. Then when we talk about lifestyle, unfortunately, we used the lifestyle to lose weight in a very strict way. Earlier.
Yeah.
Now, if you ask ChatGPT or Google, I want to lose weight by a diet, we'll give you like a 800 calories diet or 700 calories, or just to stop carbs totally, something which is not practical.
Yeah, you can do it 1 week, 2 weeks, and then you'll be like
2 months even. Then after that,
Yeah.
you can't do it. Then I believe from lifestyle perspective, it's my definition. Any lifestyle should be sustainable, doable, and enjoyable.
Agree.
Correct?
Yes.
I think you are a coach and you agree with me. Then otherwise, you can't live that lifestyle. You need to be convinced to do this lifestyle. Now, when you use this medication, my observation is really variable in patients. Now, sometimes I always start with the lowest dose, okay, because I don't know how your body would react to this medication as a patient in front of me. Then some patients will argue, I have my friend. No one size fits all. Start with the lowest dose because this is the safest way. And see if that doesn't work, I can increase the dose simply. But that may lead, as you said, to significant suppression of appetite. And then I will be worried about malnutrition, correct? And that malnutrition leads at the end to muscle loss, for example, to hair fall, fatigue, tiredness. You can't exercise. I'll ask people, okay, you should do 30 minutes of strength exercise every day. How they can exercise if they don't eat well? Correct? Then this is the point. Close observation. I usually see my patients every month, every 4 weeks. Then I will discuss. I will know the experience of the patient. How was the appetite? Did you do exercise? How many meals a day? Okay. And I have in my practice a lifestyle coach. Sometimes I have a psychologist. If there is any mental health issues there, we can discuss it. Then it's a holistic approach, really. And of course, I'm against taking this medication to suppress your appetite significantly, and then you will be malnourished. Now, what's the experience of most of the patients if they do it under medical supervision? In 6 months or more, they will tell me, doctor, I used to have a toxic relationship with food, but now it's normal relationship with food. Then I feel hungry, I eat, but I have a signal going to the brain to say, okay, stop eating now. I enjoy the food, and my preferred food is different from before. I don't prefer now junk food or sugary food or high fat food. Now I'm leaning toward eating healthier options. Then if you do it under medical supervision, slowly, step by step, the patient should be patient to reach the target.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you rush, you have a significant side effects. By the way, most of the side effects would be manageable.
Okay.
And they will be well tolerated by the patient if you titrate the dose slowly.
Okay.
I agree with you 100%. And that's the noise on the social media, most likely, because of people misusing this medication, I would say, and they tell us about their experience.
Yeah.
But in the clinical practice, if you tell me what's the rate of discontinuing this medication because of side effect or significant appetite suppression, I would say 2-3%. It's not that a huge number.
Okay. Doctor, do the side effects reduce as you keep, when you get used to, your body gets used to the medication?
Yes, correct. See, I always tell my patient, okay, let's start with this, lowest dose.
Yeah.
And then in 4 weeks, let's discuss. If you have side effect like nausea or bloating or some diarrhea, let's repeat the same dose. Don't rush. And they will repeat the same dose. Yes, they will have no side effects. Then I prepared them for the next step. By the way, most of the side effects related to the food that the people eat also.
Yeah.
If you eat sugary or fatty or junk food, if you have a big meal, big dinner, for example, as I said before, that medication slows the emptying of the stomach. Then if you eat a burger at 10 p.m., after the injection, for example, and you went to sleep, then what happens? of course you'll vomit or you have diarrhea or you can't sleep because of the pain.
Yeah.
Then you should, listen to the lifestyle coach or the nutritionist about having small, frequent meals, balanced diet, all the nutritions and supplements there.
Okay. Oh, very interesting. You also mentioned about the dosage, or how does the dosaging work in general? Because again, like I said, I have had women that I work with where the doctors have gone from start itself on a higher dose and they've had real bad side effects. So how do you again do these dosages? Is it based on how obese you are or how much weight you want to lose?
Yeah, not really, because I always tell my patient the goal is to help you in gaining health, not on losing weight. I go beyond the numbers on the scale when I discuss with the patient. And believe me, there are many patients who lost only 5 kilograms and felt much better. It's not about, how many kilograms you lost, but once again, it's a social stuff. Oh, I want to lose 30 kilograms, Then, okay, you can lose 30 kilograms. You may lose 30 kilograms, but in 1 year, not in 2 or 3 months. Then I'll tell them first thing now how I divide the journey. I divide the journey to reach the goal phase and maintenance phase. Now, reaching the goal phase, it might take 6 months, 9 months, or 1 year. But that doesn't mean that I should stop the medication. Then it doesn't matter if you reach your goal in 3 months or 6 months. Maybe it matters financially because we agree it's an expensive medication. But that's a chronic disease, requires chronic therapy.
Yeah.
Then there's no rush. And I'll tell them there's no quick fix. And I ask them simply, how long you have had this problem? 10 years, 15 years. Do you think that I can fix your problem in 3 months? It's 15 years old. Yeah. If you have a throat infection, yes, I can treat it with 1 week or whatever, within 1 week. But it's a different approach here. We're dealing with a chronic disease that requires regular follow-up, that requires self-management, adherence to take the medication also. Then start with a small dose or lowest dose, slowly titrate up the dose. Every 4 weeks, as I said, I see the patient and I discuss with them. What's your experience? Okay. My suggestion is to, for example, not increase the dose. Oh, yes, I agree with you, doctor. And believe me, most of my patients, they tell me what they want. Just they come to me to tell them, yes, you're right. Okay. But if they said something which doesn't make sense, I'll tell them, no, that's not the right way. Let's think about it in a different way. At the end, I can't force any patient to do what I want. Yeah. The patient is the master of his health and will decide what to do.
Doctor, you spoke about this medication being expensive. Does insurance cover this medication? Of course, it covers if you are diabetic. But unfortunately, like you said, obesity is not really mentioned as a disease. So how does it work for people and insurance?
See, it's a public health problem, I think. We need to change the policies of treating obesity. Because, as I said, still most of the insurance companies probably purposely don't recognize obesity as a disease. Because if they open that door, they're going to treat 35-40% of the population. Investment-wise in the health, I think it will be better. You know why? Because if you leave those people for 10 years, they end up having 3, 4, 5 medications for diseases linked to obesity, like diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol. They have like a polypharmacy. If there is obesity with diseases like fatty liver, high blood pressure, sleep apnea, still they're not convinced to cover. Only with diabetes, because the initial approval for only diabetes, and not every diabetes also. I mean, that's sad again. You need to have like 1 or 2 tablets to treat diabetes. And if that failed after 3 or 4 months and your HbA1c, the average blood glucose still more than 7, then they may think about approving it because they know this is a chronic therapy and it's expensive. I believe in the future the price will drop. As I told you, there are 50 different molecules or more maybe. Every year now you will see new thing, And I believe the previous, molecules, which is the current now molecules, will be affordable. Go back to the statins, for example, which is the, medication for the cholesterol. Yeah. If you go back like 20 years ago, it was very expensive medication. It's not easy to be affordable by everybody, but now it's really affordable for everybody.
Doctor, now moving on to very important, which is midlife women. Like I said, I'm a women's wellness coach, specifically working on the perimenopause, menopause side. And I know at that time, because of the whole hormonal hierarchy, I think belly fat becomes our second best friend. I mean, a friend that we did not want, but it comes. And women struggle at that time, all the workouts that you do, trying to eat healthy, but that fat kind of clings on to your body like, for life. And at that time, and I know that there's a lot of social media buzz on microdosing. So I wanted to kind of get an understanding from you. What does microdosing mean? Is it taking the same medication in a smaller dose, or is it completely a different molecule?
See, I mean, microdosing was not studied in the clinical trials. Maybe there's some, researcher trying to find out when they link that now to what we call it longevity, to live longer but healthier. But we don't have any data yet to say, okay, this medication can be used, let's say, to prevent obesity, or if I gain 2-3 kilograms because I know, for example, I am now in the perimenopause, there is a tendency to gain weight. Okay, let me take this medication as a prophylaxis to prevent having, obesity in the future. We don't have data to support that yet. But I believe because of this noise now about this medication, you'll find in the coming 2, 3, 4 years, many studies for that. I read about a small study about longevity. Then they measure the biological age, which is by a DNA methylation test. And they found there is improvement in the biological age with people taking Ozempic, for example, as a GLP therapy. Then that's a signal. Maybe, okay, further studies should be done. But I agree. Menopause and perimenopause, it's a situation where weight gain is easy. Right? Why? Because of the lack of estrogen. And we know estrogen is a hormone, helps in, regulating the weight. Yeah. And I always, in my practice, I ask about a life event linked to increased body weight. And it might be, menopause in childbearing ages. That's pregnancy, of course. In puberty, sometimes you have this problem, life event. Just most of the my patients, I ask them, when you start, gaining weight, when I relocated to Dubai. You know why? Because we live really in a luxurious, city. And everything is, accessible. Food delivery is there. Lack of physical activity is easy if you don't initiate that yourself. Lots of cuisines and restaurants, and you want to try everything. And that's, yes. But I mean, here we should know exactly what, drove you to be overweight at some stage, with the respect, of course, of the genetic susceptibility to gain weight.
Okay. Doctor, again, a question on now on the perimenopause, menopause journey, a lot of women take hormone replacement therapy.
Yes.
Right? Does that work well if you take that with GLP, or would it fight with each other?
Very interesting. Yesterday I read an article about this point, and they found that ladies using the hormonal replacement therapy, they lost weight more than ladies not taking the hormone replacement therapy while taking this medication.
Okay.
Like if you compare two groups, hormone replacement therapy with GLP and without, those with hormonal replacement therapy, they lost weight in a better way. Then I believe there is no contraindication, or there is no drug-drug interaction, I would say. You can use them safely with no problem.
Okay. Doctor, now coming to another very important topic, which is people taking GLP. Like I said, you said you have to make the lifestyle changes, and I am all about lifestyle changes, right? But there are people who just rely on the medication to give them the results, which eventually the medicine will give you, because if you don't eat well, you will lose the weight. But it's, like I said, it's the muscle that you lose, or eventually once the muscle kind of has lost all its power, a little bit of the fat will go. But then when you stop this medication and you not made the lifestyle changes, the weight's going to come back. And again, you've got the whole side which says, oh, it'll come back to you, got to make. How do you kind of, again, help people understand that you've got to make the lifestyle changes?
Then, see, adopting a healthy lifestyle would definitely help in maintaining the weight. Now, we don't have a robust data to say, okay, lifestyle by itself can maintain the weight after stopping these medications. And here we're talking about a relapsing disease. Maybe in the future, we don't know. Maybe there is a new invention of a medication that will give it for 4 or 5 months and that will fix the problem forever. Okay. Who knows, you know?
Yeah.
And we have this with autoimmune disease, for example, for multiple sclerosis, if you know that disease. Then the treatment was before like a lifelong treatment. But now there's a biological treatment. If you give it for a month or two and you can put a patient in remission.
Okay.
Means, careful, watch yourself. But unfortunately for obesity till date, we don't have that because most of the studies showed that if you stop the medication, the weight goes up.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, adopting a lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle in general, would help in maintaining the body weight. But that's very subjective if you agree with me. Like, okay, when I tell you I want a healthy lifestyle, what's a healthy lifestyle? How many calories I'm going to eat? How I would divide the calories between the macro protein nutrients like carbohydrates, fat, and protein. What's about the micronutrients, vitamins, and other things? How long I should exercise, walking, strength exercise, other things.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, again, is very individualized, correct?
Yeah.
You need to know what suits your body and take that. But lifestyle, it's really very important. Practicing a healthy lifestyle is crucial to have a good health. You may lose weight by using these medications while you're sitting doing nothing, but you will end up having as I said, malnutrition. You will be like emaciated. You look unwell. That's what they called before Ozempic face,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
That's the trend. You must saggy skin, muscle wasting. Is this your goal? Correct? I mean, this is a big question. I believe we all care about health. We care about shape, but we care about health. Now, if you agree that you will have that shape with abnormal health, then I need to think about a mental issue here. Is that an eating disorder? Are you looking at the numbers on the scale regardless of your health? Then that's another point I should discuss. But I always integrate the lifestyle changes in obesity management with or without the medication.
Okay. Now, like I said, we were just talking earlier, right, about when Oprah Winfrey openly says that, yes, I took Ozempic and I have lost so much weight. And you got all the big celebrities. Again, everyone is now talking a lot about it. And then you've got people who don't understand the science behind it and then just follow blindly. Like I said, there are some pharmacies where you can get it off the shelf. You don't need a prescription. You as an endocrinologist, does it really irritate you, or you're like, you're not even you're not consulted a doctor to take this medication? And you see young kids, I know they probably have obesity, but they're not looking at getting the right medical advice and just going with what social media talks about. How do you take it as an endocrinologist?
See, I would ask a question here. Like, if you want to be treated with insulin for diabetes, do you do that without a medical supervision? Can you do that? Can you titrate the dose up and down based on your experience as a person, or you need to consult a doctor? This is a hormone again. I mean, there are side effects. We still see new things every now and then. Then, supervision is very important. Having a consultation with a doctor to check, to examine the patient, to do blood tests every now and then, to find out what improvement you are after. That's very important. Now, I know that in the community, probably you have people, they microdose, as you said. People, they take it as needed. Okay. Yeah. I will take it now. I'm going to, for example, to travel. I have a trip for leisure. Okay, I'll take an injection just to avoid overeating. Yeah. It's lots of, I would say, unapproved use for this medication. Why? Because I'm a person that believes in science. And if they're in science, there's something telling me, okay, this is good. Maybe 5 years from now, microdosing will be proved by science. I'll tell you, okay, let's do microdosing. But my concern, for example, if somebody uses it for 3 months, let's say, and stop it without practicing a healthy lifestyle, then they will lose weight, but most likely they will lose muscle and fat. But if they stop the medication, they will regain weight. What are they going to regain?
Fat.
Without muscle.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Then that's unhealthy. As you know, specifically after the age of 45 or 50, we need to look at the muscle bulk because that's one of the longevity markers. Correct?
Yeah.
The better the muscle bulk, the better the muscle endurance, the better the health that you have in the future.
Yeah.
Then this, I would consider it till date as a misuse. See, if you want to use it, ask a doctor, flexible doctor, okay? Because there's some doctors, because maybe lack of experience, they bit, okay, this medication may lead to thyroid cancer, and that's not right, of course. I can talk about that if you like. But then, okay, you have a slight of elevated, I don't know, TSH maybe. No, you can't take it. There's no science to support that, okay? Then ask an expertise, I would say. A flexible doctor can listen to you and see what's your concern. At the end, if you want to lose it as an off-label medication, then the doctor can guide you and tell you, okay, stop here and don't stop here. Try to build that trust between you and your doctor.
Okay. Doctor, anyone who's afraid of injection, is there another form of taking GLP?
Yes, but not now. I mean, hopefully next year, there is a tablet. I believe by the middle of the next year will be, approved and that we will start to prescribe this medicine. Probably the weight loss a little bit less, maybe 12% or 13%, which is good in general. It's not bad.
Yeah.
But if you compare it with Mounjaro, sometimes you reach 25 or so %. Yes, there's a pill for that. It's called orforglipron. Currently, we have a medication for diabetes, which is the same Ozempic but tablets. It's for diabetes, called Rybelsus. They are conducting studies now to use this medication again in a titrating dose, but they reach a higher doses than the usual dose.
Okay.
And that might be helpful, but always when you go up higher, the concern is the side effect, which is nausea, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, these things. And people may discontinue this medication. But yes, as a hormonal therapy, the GLP, of course, we have like 2 or 3 medication tablets, but not a hormonal therapy to treat obesity. The result is a bit variable.
Okay. Doctor, again, there's so many other natural, nature's Ozempic, like berberine, that has again got all the hype, right? From the people who are against Ozempic, they're like, you cannot use that for weight loss. What is your take on berberine?
Same if there is something harmless and may benefit you, you can use it. Now, I can tell you there are like really studies conducted to show that berberine is a medication for weight management or for obesity management, okay? But experience-wise, people come to me and tell me, okay, I took berberine at some stage and I lost 3 kilograms. Okay, I respect that. And that works for you. Now, what we try to do in the medical science or in the studies usually, we try to include more and more people. That's why when I talk about berberine, okay, give me a study where 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 patients were randomized to berberine and placebo and they lost 5%. I don't think that we have the study up to my knowledge.
Yeah.
But it may work. Now, careful about some products. Those are nameless, like in a bottle. I don't know what's there.
Yeah.
Because I have one patient at some stage, he came to me. He lost weight and he couldn't regain it. He told me, I'm not thinking about food. I told him, very good. He told me, okay, I got to like herbs shop and he went under the table and he got a bottle for me and he gave it to me. And I started taking this medicine. And now 6 months I stopped the medicine and still I want to eat. I can't eat that much, I eat 2 bites. I don't know what's there, really, Then avoid using these things. But I believe, again, the supplement market, it's huge. And just to let you know, these things are not regulated by the FDA, the drug. It's not a medicine, it's regulated like a protein bar or like a biscuit or whatever. The same thing with multivitamins and other things. Yes, there's some regulation, but not regarding efficacy and safety and other things. But I believe if it's, sold in the pharmacies and community pharmacies, and if you'd like to try it, yes, but probably don't rely on that to lose 10 or 15 or 20 kilograms or improve your health. As I said, these medication recently now we know there are benefits beyond weight loss also. I don't have any data to show that berberine or other things can get the same result.
Doctor, we had a lot of interesting conversation, right, about GLP-1. Maybe I know a little bit now more on this. Maybe I'm not that anti-Munjaro, I must say now.
Yes.
But I want to do a little fun segment. It's called Hot Seat, Cold Truths. Yeah. Quick, rapid fire questions, whatever comes to your mind. Yeah. GLP-1, miracle, mistake, or misunderstood?
Same in, I think misunderstood.
The coldest truth about weight loss no one wants to hear.
We don't want to believe that's a disease and that requires a chronic therapy.
One thing women must fix before thinking about GLP-1.
Lifestyle.
The most overrated advice you see in metabolic health.
Overrated.
A habit more powerful than any injection.
Exercise, strength exercise.
The one thing you wish every midlife woman knew about her metabolism.
Lifestyle is the cornerstone in, having a smooth menopause, I believe.
Okay. GLP-1 is making people lose weight, but what else are they losing?
Losing, it's a negative term.
I know you spoke a lot about gaining. Yeah.
Yes.
Health benefits. I'm
Yes.
saying what else are they losing?
Yeah. At this stage, they're losing money, I believe.
Okay, I like that. One red flag that tells you someone is not ready for GLP-1.
If there is a barrier from using it, contraindication, what we call it, active bowel disease, I don't prescribe it. If there is a history of acute pancreatitis, inflammation in the pancreas, I don't prescribe it. If there is a history or family history of what we call it, medullary thyroid cancer, I don't prescribe it.
Okay. The biggest lie social media tells about weight loss.
Quick fix is available.
Yes, I hate that word. A truth about hunger that people hate hearing.
Hunger is a normal signal from the body, like pain, means you need energy. Then respond to that and try to change your eating behavior to have a normal relationship with food.
If GLP-1 disappeared tomorrow, what would most people be forced to confront?
I believe they should think about focusing on the lifestyle once again.
Your most unpopular opinion about midlife weight gain? Just eat less, move more.
Yeah, but this is, I think that's not only in midlife, I mean, in general.
Yeah, but I think especially during they're like, it's all in your head. Just eat less, move more, stuff like that. So
I think so, yeah. We can say it's eat less and move more. But it's wrong concept, of course. It's the only solution.
Yeah. Thank you for your quick answers, Doctor. This brings me to my last segment. I call it the 1%. 99% of my podcast is all about women wellness, but men are a part of our life too. So we've dedicated this 1% to them. So what is your 1% advice to the men in our lives? What can men do better to support women?
They should listen to women, I think. First, if you listen, then you understand from all perspectives, I believe, emotionally, and you can support the woman in a probably beneficial way. Then listening, I think it's very important. Then every man should listen well to a woman at least.
Okay. So all the men listening, keep your ears open. Doctor, any parting advice for the listeners, especially who are struggling or trying to understand weight loss, or what is your advice to them?
I would say you can try to lose weight by usual things. Don't go very strict in terms of lifestyle changes because that's not sustainable. But if you can't lose weight, don't blame yourself. It's beyond your willpower. It's beyond your personal responsibility, and just shout for help. I may discuss with you as an expertise. I may convince you or may not, but at least you knocked that door to seek a medical advice and help.
Oh, I love that. I love the way you put that. Doctor, and where can our listeners connect with you?
Now, I am a consultant endocrinologist at EndoCare and a medical director there. EndoCare clinic is a metabolic clinic. It's in Dubai Healthcare City. Also, we offer virtual consultation.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for this conversation. I think we'll come back again for the second one to kind of dive deeper into this topic, because I think this is something that will be more exciting, or I think the word GLP-1 will be trending much more than the 6, 7 that is now trending nowadays, which I don't understand at all. But then, so thanks a lot, Doctor.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and I hope that was really helpful and useful for listeners.
Thank you. If there's one thing that I want you to take from today, it's that midlife isn't about choosing the right side of any trend. It's about understanding your body so deeply. Whatever choice you make, medication, lifestyle, or both, comes from confidence, not confusion. If this conversation opened your eyes, share it with another woman who deserves clarity, not chaos, because that's how we build awareness, one conversation at a time. I'm Gayu Lewis, and until next time, Menopause, why pause? Let's play.